So joining me here now in Mission Control, one of our current NASA flight directors, Mike Lammers. Mike, thanks for joining me real quick. And
you're welcome.
You worked First Element launch, so you've been here longer than me. I'm jealous that you were there, when everything started. What were you doing back in 1998 for the program?
Back in 1998, I actually worked in the training division, as it was called at the time, which was part of mission operations that handles all the flight control and training for the crews. And I was heavily involved in developing some of the early simulators for the space station and getting those to work with the space shuttle simulators. And I was on the team that was training the crew of STS-88, which is the shuttle mission that delivered Node 1, that was the first U.S. element attached to the FGV. The first element launched fairly shortly after first element launch. So, that mission and first element launch were really tied at the hip. Obviously, First Element was where we did a lot of the initial integration with the Russians on hardware we're going to jointly operate. Obviously, we had been gotten a lot of really valuable experience with Phase 1 and Mir, but really First Element launch was where we were going to actually work together and jointly in operating a vehicle. It was really interesting to work on. I think when we started, there was so much that we didn't know. Even though First Element gave us a lot of experience, we were still kind of in a monitor mode with Mir as far as what we do, which was systems. Obviously, we had crew members on board doing work. Then we were taking care of them both from Houston and Moscow. But it was really pretty special because we had spent. I'd been here for 2 or 3 years before that, but there had been a number of people working space station. Really, in fact, I think my manager had been working it since the 80s.
Oh wow!
And to finally get to the point where we were going to launch was pretty special after a lot of waiting and a lot of really hard work. So I remember in particular what I was doing is I came in and I think I watched it from one of the back rooms in Mission Control and we sat around and we watched the launch and we hung around for a few ground passes afterwards, and it was really pretty special to do.
I'd imagine it'd be really exciting, because I've heard it described. It was the start. You knew there was going to be a lot of really hard work in the years to come, but it was really good to get things started.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about working, not just for NASA but anyone that deals with launches is. There is, all this work that you do, it's pretty unique where you come up to one kind of moment of about 10 minutes where
it's over so quick.
Yeah, where everything is kind of focused on that moment. And then 10 minutes later, there you are. And oh my gosh, now we've got to actually operate this thing. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, and you guys have been operating it for the last 15 years. Tell me a little bit. How has it been to watch this whole program evolve and see how far it's come in the last 15 years?
It's been pretty amazing just when you look back at how much we've learned on operating in space. Of course, it's not quite 15 years, but pretty close since that we've had a permanent occupation of space station.
Yep.
There's teenagers alive today that don't remember a time where there weren't Americans orbiting the Earth, which is pretty unique. We have gotten. I remember back when I was younger when we'd watch space shuttle missions. This is during the early '80s where we'd do spacewalks that essentially put a couple of pieces of metal together.
Yeah.
That was just a precursor for what we were doing on space station, and now we've gotten to the point on space station that we do just amazingly complex activities, and they're almost I won't say that they're routine, but they're very not routine, but they're something that we've done and we've got a lot of experience with. We can do with confidence. Like last year I ran a spacewalk, and I remember watching it. Where you see the crew going on. One of the first things that we got to do when we send the crew out the door is, at the time it was Sonny Williams was the EV crew member. She actually had to go hand over hand, almost a good chunk the length of a football field to get out to the end of the truss. And just to think that one of the one of the challenges that we have when we do spacewalks is how far the crew actually needs to translate outside just to get to the work site.
I mean, yeah, whoever would have thought that
Yeah.
our spaceship is too big.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
it's massive,
Yeah.
and just you know, the amount of focus that we had on First Element and the FGB, which, you know, comparatively it's a simple vehicle compared to a lot of the other things like the service module and some of the vehicles that we send up in the U.S. lab. It's really amazing that we've built this machine, and you know, to this day we're still learning a great deal about the machine itself and running it, and also keeping people on it full time.
And I mean, excited about what's to come still?
Oh yeah, you know, the neat thing about working on the space station is it's never quite the same, right? Every year we do something different, something big that's different. Just recently I worked in the last few months is Cygnus, which was the commercial cargo mission that Orbital launched, and you know, that was a whole new learning curve, another vehicle to learn, another set of people to work with, and you know, we had that was just this month. Next year I'm sure there's going to be some more. We've certainly got some new elements in the pipeline that are on the drawing board. The Russians have a number that they're gonna put up in the next few years, and you know, the space station of you know, 5 years from now is going to look different in ways than the ones that today does, and probably in ways that we haven't quite yet anticipated.
Well, yeah, never a dull day.
No.
All right. Well, again, International Space Station, 15 years and going strong, and a lot more to come. Get Mike Lammers, NASA Flight Director. Thanks so much for being here, Mike.
You're welcome.
Congratulations on all your work throughout.
Thank you.
Thanks.